Everybody, welcome live to the Jim Masters Show, live entertainment lifestyle celebrity talk show series. Your host, Jim Masters, here reporting for duty once again. We're here on the East Coast of the United States in the New York area. I'm in the host chair, reporting for duty as we always do. We have an assignment, and that is to welcome back to JMS a beloved television, film, and stage iconic actress. The one and only Michael Learned is back here to talk about some new exciting things. She's been in a few movies and different things since we chatted last. She's always on the go, always in demand, always somebody that we cherish and love. She's an American treasure. And of course, you know her as Olivia Walton, originally from the classic family drama from the 1970s on CBS that everybody watched. It was appointment viewing, The Waltons. And The Waltons continuing to celebrate 50 years. Could you imagine that? 50 years. That went by in a New York minute, as I always say. She's been in so many incredible television specials and shows and series. She's an iconic actress, but she's also warm and empathetic, compassionate. She's fun. She's affable. The last time she was here on the Jim Masters Show, it was an extraordinary conversation. We went through her entire career, I think. Now she's back to tell us about some exciting new things. Matter of fact, she has her latest film, which is called Our Crossroads. And she stars with none other than music legend and actor Pat Boone. You may remember Pat Boone was a special guest on the Jim Masters Show just a few weeks ago. We had a spectacular conversation. And his daughter, Lindy Boone, who's out and about doing some wonderful things too, performing. She was a guest on her own episode as well. So our very special guest, truly, we are very honored to have her back here on the show. Michael Learned, again, has been gracing us on television and in movies and on stage for decades. Not just, of course, with this iconic, beloved series that still is revered to this very day, but so many other incredible shows. Remember when she was in Nurse? That was another iconic one as well. But of course, you know, everybody talks about the Waltons and they talk about the feeling and love and warmth of the Waltons. And as we celebrate, of course, you know, 50 years, that's extraordinary. So many great series like the Waltons and Little House on the Prairie, and all of them are celebrating these iconic moments. And you think about all the generations of people, all different backgrounds, all different cultures, and of course, a worldwide viewing audience, because with syndication, these shows have been seen around the world and continue to be seen as re-airs and reruns. It's really incredible the impact that these incredible folks like a Michael Learned have made on all of our lives. And again, she continues to perform. She continues to star. She continues to shine. Of course, remembering her as Olivia, such a wonderful character on the beloved Waltons. Again, go back in the archives and see the amazing conversation we had when Ms. Learned was with us not that long ago. I'd say maybe a year, 6 months, and it was really terrific. Some wonderful shots of our fabulous guest over the years as well. Always a ray of sunshine. And then, just when you think everything is sweet, boom, she stars in this. This was amazing. The Jeffrey Dahmer story on Netflix. And I don't know if you saw it, but it was widely received, and a lot of people saw her in this role, and she was extraordinary in this role of Jeffrey Dahmer's mom in this. Really incredible. Really, unlike you've seen her in any of the other roles that she's played over the years. Yes, multiple Emmys, all well earned and well deserved. And here is just a wonderful clip, little photo here that's been sent to us of Pat Boone, icon, Michael Learned, icon, together in a very tender, loving moment from this incredible new film. And I want to just tell you a little bit about it. It's going to be something quite special. The latest film, four-time Emmy winner Michael Learned portrays the highly publicized Barbara Fraley, who in 1969, along with her husband, Bob, portrayed by Pat Boone, they petitioned the courts for guardianship of the 6 Mitchell orphans. And Michael embodies the real-life Barbara today as they look back on the struggles for family survival in Our Crossroads. An inspiring story, again, dating back to 1969 in rural Ohio about an act of goodwill. A spiritually troubled photographer is forced to confront his lack of faith when he photographs a family and learns the story of tragedy, loss, and redemption, the true life story of a young couple who followed their beliefs and successfully gained guardianship of 6 orphans, demonstrated by the power of faith. Michael Learned and Pat Boone portray the couple in their later years, telling the story in a flashback. As I mentioned, also with more than 1 billion hours viewed, Ms. Learned recently starred in Ryan Murphy's limited series, DAHMER, Monster, the Jeffrey Dahmer story about the serial killer, directed by Ryan Murphy. It was really extraordinary as well. And again, in 2023, reunited with her Waltons family for their 50th anniversary as well. She's been doing this a long time. She's beloved and she is fantastic. And we're so excited to have her here. I could go on and on and on because I've always enjoyed her work. I've always enjoyed everything she's been in. You wonder, do they still get together? The cast, there they are. Yes, when they have the opportunity to, and especially there they go back in time, especially, you know, now with this incredible remembrance, and people are craving, you know, this kind of feeling, these kinds of shows. I think now more than ever, something from a simpler time, something that has complex things that families deal with, but at the same time has love and tenderness and kindness thrown in. I think that's why these shows like The Waltons and Little House on the Prairie and others that are being celebrated right now are in high demand to just be talked about and celebrated, as is our very special guest. During the show, we also have something, don't go anywhere because we're going to show you a wonderful clip that was sent to us. And we appreciate our dear friends at the Hollywood Museum. If you've ever been there, it's an iconic place in Los Angeles in the Max Factor building. It really is a must if you go to LA or Hollywood for any reason at all, family, friends, work. You got to go over there and see the incredible memorabilia for television and film and so much more. There's a clip we have of when the Hollywood Museum presents the Waltons' 50th anniversary. Leonard Maltin emceed, and you have several cast members from the Waltons being interviewed, including our very special guest, Michael Learned. We're going to show you that during the course of our conversation. But poised in her chair for these kinds of conversations, as always, looking like $1 million, I am very honored to welcome to the show our good friend, the one and only Michael Learned is back. Michael, welcome to the show.
Well, I'm walking on air. Thank you for all of that. I was sitting here going, rub it in, don't forget.
You're very, very welcome. You, I don't know how you did it. You sat in that chair all this time until I came back to welcome you on the show. Are your knees tired?
No. Actually, I was up in the park with a New York actor named Jeremy Webb, who's here doing a show called The North Country Girl. And we hadn't seen each other in a long time. So I showed him where all the bike paths were. We live in a wonderful area that has a beautiful William O. Douglas Park with trails, walking trails, hiking trails, and bicycle trails. It's just perfect for me because I don't like suburban life. So I can go up to that park and forget that I'm a suburban housewife here in Beverly Hills.
Baking sourdough bread and all the rest, right? Like everybody's done the last couple of years. Much of that left and right.
The phone to ring.
Yeah. So you have been a busy beaver since we chatted last. Congratulations and everything. Of course, the Waltons' 50th. Little House on the Prairie, their 50th. It's amazing, as I'm mentioning in that brief introduction there, the attachment, the craving that people still have all these years later for these wonderfully written and shot and produced shows and series like the Waltons. Does it surprise you? Did you expect it? Or you must be reveling in some of the feedback you get from all different generations too, even folks who are just discovering the series and reruns or DVD, what have you now. It must really make you feel quite good, I would imagine.
It does. And, I was just thinking about it when I did the show. I had just been doing theater, so I had completely forgotten that you had to hit a mark because the camera was the focus was for that mark, not for just wandering around wherever you want to, like you can do on stage at times. So I was watching these kids and I thought they know more about what they're doing than I do. And they were just wonderful. They knew their lines, they hit their marks, and they were warm and welcoming to me. So it was interesting, but I felt like a fish out of water for a little while when we first started. And then they became my second family and still are.
You know, which is really amazing. That's such a beautiful thing to hear. And I showed a picture of a gathering for that Waltons 50th. You still pretty much all stay in touch and stay connected. And it is like a family. All these years, you know, there's been births and deaths and weddings and people moving around and all the career choices and changes, some people retiring, and you still stay connected.
I'm not retired, not by choice.
Not you at all. No way. Matter of fact, you're still going. The Jeffrey Dahmer story, that since we chatted last, that was an extraordinary project, a little bit of a departure from people who know you from the Waltons and other fabulous series and shows you've been in. How did that opportunity come your way, and what was it like digging in deep and convincingly portray that and take on that very, very deep role that you did, and you did an extraordinary job.
Thank you. It was a challenge for me because I had to do a Midwest kind of Chicago accent, which is not something I'm familiar with. So I tried to do the best I could without insulting my kids who lived there in Chicago. And it was, she was not a killer. She, I don't know what to do. I guess I have to click something here. She was just a grandma, because I remember coming home like the first day that we shot, and I came home and my grandson Ari was living with us at the time, and he opened the door and he's this gorgeous, fresh, handsome, lovely, warm-hearted young man. And I thought, what would I do if I suddenly discovered that on the side he was over killing people? What a horrible, I think someday they should do a film about what happens to a family when a beloved member of the family is discovered to be doing things that doesn't sit well with the family. What do you do about that? Would I stop loving my grandson because he did something horrible? No, I wouldn't. My little son, when he was about 8, my youngest, he came to me and he said, "Mommy, if I killed somebody, would you turn me in?" Well, you sort of go, okay, God, how am I going to answer this question? And what came to me was, yes, I would have to turn you in because it's not right to kill anybody. But I would come and visit you every single day. You see my cat in the background? Hi,
yes.
Kitty.
What's the name? Oh, boy.
Jay.
Oh, I love it.
He's every inch of that. He really owns the joint.
He runs the play. We had a black cat once a few years back. Looks just like that one,
Really?
with the yellow eyes, and the name was Pompous. And Pompous lived up to its name.
I gotta forget that.
Pompous also lived 22 years.
Oh, really?
22
we got Puma when he was 4, and we've had him 2 years. So he's only 6. He's just a child, just a teenager.
Boy,
I love this cat so much.
What was it like preparing for that role too? With the Jeffrey Dahmer story, you really had to dig in and pull a lot because you really were.
Well, thank you. It was a little bit of a stretch for me. I had to learn to try and do the Mid-Atlantic. Kitty, your tail is, I don't know if you're supposed to be, are you getting a really close up of my cat's behind right there?
Is she butting in?
Literally.
That is funny.
Good kitty. There you go.
What's that 15 minutes of fame? I hope it's not a union cat. We'll go broke.
No, she's a line breaker, this one.
I tell you. So you really had to dig in deep to take on.
Well, yeah, I had to learn the accent. And then, Evan Peters was so easy to work with. You know, I tend to be, I need a person, you know, that's with me or there in the scene. And he was 100% there all the time. And he didn't play him. He could have played him sort of a little bit sneaky, and but he never did. I mean, in our scenes, I had no clue that he was out there killing people and cutting them up in my basement, which I find a little hard to swallow, but apparently that's what happened. And so in a way, I thank Evan, because he just played a straight young grandson with me. So it was easy to love him. He's a wonderful actor and a very nice person.
That's fantastic. I tell you, you know, you also have this wonderful film now with Pat Boone. And we had Pat Boone on just a couple weeks ago, and then after that, his wonderful daughter, Libby. Tell us about this. This is something very special. We have these heartwarming photos here that we're sharing. What was it like combining forces and working with Pat Boone, and also telling this very impactful story in Our Crossroads?
Well, first of all, working with Pat Boone was a dream.
Yeah.
I couldn't have asked for a nicer man. He's right there. His feet are on the ground. He's kind. He's considerate of everybody. Knew his lines. He's just an amazing actor. I had no idea he was such a good actor.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
I always knew his singing and everything, but he is a wonderful actor, and he's great to work with, because look at him. He's right there. He's connected. We're connected in that shot. And that's what he does. And that for any actor makes life really easy, because there are times sometimes when an actor is too involved doing his own thing, if you will, and you're kind of left out of it, even though you're doing the scene with him. So it's lovely when you have an actor to work with who's there with you and traveling that same path that you're on.
Right. You're equals. You understand what needs to be done, and you're sort of complementing each other, bouncing off and playing off each other in a way that just enriches and enhances the storytelling, because you are storytellers. This story, it must have fascinated you. How did the role come your way?
I had to audition after all my years on television.
Can you believe that, folks?
For almost 50 years, I think. And Ryan Murphy's a big producer that I really highly respect. And he said, well, I need an audition. And I guess, you know, people haven't seen me in a while. He probably wanted to know. I think the reason I got the part, though, is not because I did such a great audition. I'm not good at auditioning, but I think at one point my manager was taking the film, and he said, now I have to get a full body shot of you. And I jokingly said, well, if I'd known you were going to do that, I would have worn a bra and I my boobs up. And I have a feeling that got a laugh. He left it in. I thought he was going to cut it out. I never thought he'd leave it in.
Right.
Yeah, he left it in. I suspect they said, oh, shucks, give it to her. It's weird how you know, John, I did a couple of Gunsmokes.
Yes. Oh, you're sure you did.
I was the producer, a lovely man. And he said, well, you know why we cast you? And I said, no, why? And he said, well, you remind me of Barbara Stanwyck. And she was such a love of my life.
Oh, boy.
It had nothing to do with talent or acting ability or anything. I reminded him of somebody that he had once loved.
Yeah.
So it's such a, I was just talking about it with Jeremy at lunch, and it's such a crapshoot, really. So, what is going to get you that part? Who would guess hiking up your boobs and making a joke about it would get a laugh and maybe get you the part? Because I'm not good at auditioning. I don't. If I saw an audition, Dinah Shore years ago, I was on her show, and she had a copy of my original screen test for the Waltons, because I had always thought it was terrible. And then I thought, well, maybe I have that magic thing that they talk about between a camera and whatever. And I know that sounds egotistical, but it was like a maybe. I mean, I can't imagine why I got this part. And I saw the audition. It was terrible. It was terrible. I would never have cast me in that role. But I had a woman named Ethel Wynant, who was then the head of casting at CBS. And she had seen my work at ACT in San Francisco in the rep company that Bill Ball did. And she was a fan. And the story I got years later after she had passed away was she fought Fred Silverman to the ground over you. Because they were looking for a woman with long red hair in her mid 40s. And I had shorter than this. I mean, my hair is long in the back, but it was kind of this kind of a style. And I was 32. I didn't have red hair. I wasn't the age they were looking for. And somehow this woman just went to bat for me. And I call her my angel, you know. There were times I had nothing. I had no money. I was going through a divorce, which broke my heart. I was driving a little battered up VW Bug. I was staying in a motel for $12 a night with a Raggedy Ann doll and a bottle of bourbon. And somehow I got the part, you know, and it turned my life around.
That is extraordinary. You know, sometimes when things are down at the lowest points, there's a lifeline. There's something that comes your way that is an opportunity. And if you grab it and make the most of it, it can lead to other phenomenal things. And it looks like that was for you, Michael. That was a lifeline. I mean, the talent was there, the passion was there. It's just that the puzzle pieces had to come together, and it sounds like that they did. And then from that day forward, you just ran with that opportunity. And it's a very inspiring story. I wonder, you know, there should be, I know you play all these iconic roles, telling the stories of others. I think there should be one on your incredible path as well, because it's extremely inspiring. When you look back at those days, like you just described, the Raggedy Ann doll and all, what would you say to Michael of then, having experienced all of these things since?
Well, I've always thought, it sounds a little righteous, so I probably won't do it, but I've always thought if I do ever finish my memoir, the title would be His Hand Was on My Shoulder, because I do believe I was kind of brought in. I didn't want to do television. I wasn't interested in the role. A middle-aged farm woman living on a farm, and that didn't interest me so much. I had just done Noel Coward and Shakespeare, and you know, I thought, this isn't something I want to do. And the money wasn't huge back then. It was nothing compared to what people are getting now. But it was more than I was getting doing theater. Right. And I thought, you know, you got to show up. So that's always what I tell young performers. Just show up. Even if you don't think you're right for it, or even if you think you're too great to do it, just show up anyway. And the chips will fall where they may. Sometimes you'll get lucky like I did, and sometimes you won't. There were several other women that I actually knew personally, including the wife of our producer, Lee Rich, who had long red hair and was a wonderful actress. She didn't get the part of Olivia. I don't know why. She should have. She would have been great. And she did do a couple of guest stars on the show, but I didn't even know she had, you know, that she had wanted to do it. And and also Pat Neal, who also became a friend of mine. And she said, I said, I'm so grateful that you turned that part down because it changed my life. And she said, oh, but darling, I didn't turn it down. They didn't want me. And that was a shock to me. And I assume it's because she had had the strokes. And so they didn't want to take a chance on hiring someone who might have a stroke or something. But I had no idea. She was so gracious, and we became such good friends that I had no idea. I don't think I would have been that graceful about it if it was a part I really wanted.
Isn't it something? You know, you didn't see it in you as being the person for that role, but then you took the role on and you mastered it. You gave it you took the role that's on paper.
Thank you.
And maybe they had a vision of this, and you came in and you matched the vision, but then exceeded it because of who you are and your grit and your ability to make it your own. Did they ever say to you at all through the years, here's why of these other people that were considered, we selected you? Because obviously fans around the world fell in love with you and all of the cast members. And when you look back at it, or when we look back at it, it was the right fit. You were perfection for that role and took it on. And, it's something that continues to touch people all these years later. Did they ever say, well, here's why you got the role?
I honestly believe that I got the role because Ethel Wynant went to bat for me and told Fred Silverman about my work. I think he was really correct. I wasn't right for the role. I wasn't what they were looking for. I was not a middle-aged woman with long red hair. I was short blonde hair, and I had just turned 32. And so I wasn't what they were looking for. But Ethel kept fighting for me. I don't know why. I'm just eternally grateful to her. She wrestled Fred Silverman to the ground over me, apparently. And I would have liked to see that battle, but it turned my life around in mostly a positive way. Put my kids through school and paid for braces and all those things that I probably couldn't have paid for on a theater salary, rep company salary. So,
I bet you started then getting letters. Well, of course, letters from all over the country, if not the world. And you would start to also get letters from people whose lives sort of mimic the Waltons. They live on the farm. They have the big family. They till the soil. It's all about, helping one another and surviving day to day. I would imagine when you started hearing from people who are watching the Waltons and seeing themselves sort of portrayed, that must have been quite moving, realizing the impact you and everybody was making on that series, whether people lived on a farm and experienced that or not.
Well, it was a huge impact that it made on me, and I'm eternally grateful for it. And it was not, you see, I didn't see it as a farm, people living on a farm so much, even though I used to milk goats before I went to school and before I went to bed at night. I had 3 goats that I milked, which is a cow and a half. I told my father, you only milk a cow. I have to milk a cow and a half. But I got money from him. So that was how I was supposed to pay the money back.
Was that in Connecticut or?
Yeah, that was in Connecticut. I used to steal into their bedroom and take $1 bill or $5 or whatever out of his pocket. I mean, how daring was that? And then I'd go buy candy at school.
Did you?
And the teacher kind of busted me because I bought her a really nice box of candy. And the teacher turned me in. She called my father and said, your daughter seems to be spending a lot of money on candy. I think you should know about it. So I got home that day and he said, you're too old to spank. But how much do you think you took from me? I said, I don't know. And he said, well, I think it's over $10. So you're going to have to pay me back. And he made a chart and it had all these chores, gather the eggs, feed the rabbits and fresh water, clean out the stalls. I'd get a certain amount of money for each chore. And every morning and every night I did have to feed and milk the goats. We had 3 does and 1 buck. Well, if you've ever smelled goat cheese, really strong goat cheese, that's what the barn smells like when you have a buck in with the does. They give off an odor, which I guess goats like, but it's not. But I loved the goats and I loved milking it. And my mother invited my entire class to come to the farm for a day, and we'd have a picnic outside. And because I wasn't popular at school, and so they all came and they saw me milking and squirting. You can squirt milk at the cats, and they'll jump up and catch it. And the kids went for that. I was kind of a hero after that. It was such a smart thing that my mom did for me.
Speaking of back in time a little bit, you began this interest in acting really at the Arts Educational School in England, primarily a ballet school, and your 11-year-old dream was to become a prima ballerina, right? Some people might not know that.
Not just a ballerina, a prima ballerina.
Prima ballerina.
Yeah, like guys want to be firefighters and women want to be a ballerina. Girls, I mean. And yeah, and it was a primarily ballet school. And one day the teacher, they had drama, tap, Greek dancing, ballroom dancing, all of those things. And if you were a ballet student, you had ballet every day and one other class, a tap or a this or a mime or drama, and then academics in the afternoon. And I was a ballet student, which meant I had ballet every day, and then another. And one of the teachers took me aside and said, "You know, darling, you're not a very good dancer. I think you should think about becoming a special drama student." And that was it. And I said, "Oh, okay." And
yeah,
that was it. And I really wasn't a very good dancer, so I was okay, but it really wasn't meant to be for me.
You won the drama cup, and like you said, at your teacher's suggestion, you focused on special drama instead of ballet. At the age of 16, you went to the London school and completed your dramatic training, and then that's when you moved to Los Angeles with that first audition for television and landed the part of Olivia Walton in the Waltons, which you said changed your life. What a trajectory, huh? That's
really,
just...
I was really lucky, and it was at such a hard time in my life, you know. I really loved the father of my kids, Peter Donat, and he was a wonderful actor. I think we were both too immature at that time to work it out. I started drinking, and I don't know what he was doing. He just kind of wasn't there. And I remember saying, "I'm in therapy. Let's get therapy. Please, please." I was begging him. And he said, "I like things just the way they are." And I remember it was almost as if I could hear my heart, a door close. Not all doors, but a door closing in my heart. And I thought, if he doesn't want to do the work to try to make this marriage sustain itself, then I got to go figure out what I'm going to do with my life. And it was a very painful time. I'm not one of these people who goes, "Oh, well, that's over. I'm moving on now." You know, I have a lot of drama always connected with every little hardship that comes my way.
It happens. Well, a lot of people oftentimes will say that they pour themselves into their work, and when they go on set or they're amongst, you know, the cast or what have you, it becomes cathartic or therapy. When maybe outside or offset there's a little turmoil happening. Did the time on the Waltons also do that for you? Were you able to pour yourself into it, where other things that you might have been going through or dealing with, they didn't soften, but during that time you were able to at least have this cathartic experience on the set of the Waltons and other shows?
Well, this may sound gold diggy, but honestly, the paycheck was such a gift at that time. I had 3 teenagers. Well, my youngest son was 9, but the 2 older boys were 13 and 15, and then my youngest was a 9-year-old. And I had never lived alone. I mean, I went from my home into a marriage with Peter when I was 17, and I had 3 kids by the time I was 24. I should have been from the Appalachians, I guess. They do that there too. But,
Fairfield County, not necessarily the Appalachians, right?
Right. But, yeah, no, I was just lucky. And there is a lot of lucky involved in this work, you know, acting, because you can be a phenomenal actor and never, quote, make it. And you can be so-so, and suddenly you're given a character role or something that people fall in love with, and you're there. And I think I was given this wonderful role. The hardest part of this role was Earl Hamner was writing about his own mother. And most of the people in the show, like the Baldwin sisters and the Reverend, they were all people that he had known. I mean, they were real people in his real life that he's writing about for television. He didn't want to hurt anybody's feelings or offend anybody. So the hardest struggle I had was, didn't your mother ever scold the wrong child for something the child didn't really do, the other child did it? Didn't your mother ever do anything wrong? Was she just perfect all the time? Because nobody likes a perfect person. We all struggle so hard to be perfect, but nobody really likes a perfect person. And so I had to struggle to get Olivia to be a little more human, judgmental sometimes, somebody was a sinner in her eyes and really was just a human being who had some problems. And not too often, but occasionally I used to say, just have her be downright mean, have her scold the wrong child, have her do something wrong. And that will actually endear her to people, because we all have made mistakes. All of us. Nobody's perfect.
Did you mentioned how you didn't feel that you were necessarily right for that role, but then as you got into playing the role of Olivia and really immersing yourself into these storylines and, getting that sort of revelry going with and the rapport going with the cast, did you grow to appreciate, love, like that particular character? What evolved as somebody who wasn't, in your mind, necessarily perfect for that role, but then was given the role and took it to heights probably a lot of people would never have expected? What was that process like for you? And did you grow to really appreciate and love Olivia?
I don't think I really loved Olivia till after I played her. I hated going to the set. I loved the kids. We all got the crew. We had the most amazing crew. I still remember the first sound man that was on it his name was Bill Flannery. And I said, I'm just in theater and I keep forgetting that I'm supposed to hit some kind of mark on the ground, but not look and see it, look for it or anything. And he said, don't worry, I'll take care of you. And he just made it. I didn't have to worry anymore about whether I was loud enough or quiet enough for the sound. And Russ Meddy was the I'm blanking on his role, but he was the head of the union, and he would sit on a chair with a cigar in his mouth and this crew cut, and he looked like a gangster to me. I didn't know what he was doing there or who he was, but he was the one that was telling the crew where to put the lights and how to do what. And I feel and I learned later that he was a very well-known DP. And so they surrounded us with an incredible crew and a lovely cast. And all of that was, I would love doing it now, but I had 3 kids at home. And at one time I had 5 kids at home, and I was always kind of torn, because I promised my son, I'll be home in time to take you to the dentist. I only have 2 pages. And then something would change, the weather would change or something would change, and I'd be held on the set and I couldn't leave. And there was just one time I ever left the set when my son, Lucas, was sick. He had the flu. And I just finally said, I'm going to take care of my child. And I'm sorry, but I'm going to leave the set. I'll keep my costume on, but I'm going to go home and take care of my kid, which I did. And they were very kind about it, because it throws everything up in the air when they've planned a full day of what shots and who they're going to shoot doing what. So they covered for me, and I was able to get him settled and, fed and watered and all of that. And I said, I have to go back for an hour or 2. And I turned the TV on for him. And I went back. I was only 5 minutes away from the studio, so thank God for that. And then I went back to work. And Lucas is still alive today, doing very well. And I don't know, I think being a mom was always something very special for me. I loved being a mom. I loved my kids. I got a kick out of them. I have friends who didn't enjoy their children when they were young. They were a chore. And for me, they were my joy. So I felt that way about the Walton kids too. I just transferred that feeling from my own children to the Walton children. So
I was just about to ask that. It's amazing you said that. Did the mom of Michael Leonard with her kids and then Olivia Walton with her kids, did any of it ever intermingle? Like when you were dealing with something with your kids and with the family at home in the real world, were there any bits of nuggets you picked up from what Olivia did or would have done, and then were able to use it at home, or vice versa, things that you dealt with at home or things that you experienced at home, you were able to add to Olivia playing a mom in both roles at the same time?
Well, I don't know if actors had the same. We were lucky because the producers let us read the script and give input, which must have driven Earl Hamner crazy. I'm sure it did. Well, Olivia would never say that, or whatever. Or you have Olivia saying she hates this or that in this scene, but in this scene she's talking about how beautiful whatever it was she hated. So I would catch things like that, which don't really matter on television. In a way, they were right because it's visual. It's not so much language. But I had just come from language, theater, Shakespeare and Noel Coward and all of that. So to me, the language was important. And what I was talking about, I had to believe in. And I was a pain in the ass, quite frankly. And Earl forgave me because that's who he is. He's a kind, generous, gentle man, was. And, I think because and Ralph did too, we said, nobody like you got to have us have some grit where we're not just perfect all the time, because who likes a perfect person? I don't, if there even is such a thing. I like people. I like them for people for their flaws, for their misdemeanors, if you will.
The realness, the authenticity, exactly. I think.
But the love was real. Her love for her kids was real, and my love for the Waltons kids as my second family was real. I adore them all to this day, and I think they care for me. And and my own kids, they really understood that mom couldn't be around all the time. And but when I went home for Luke when he had the flu, I think that taught him that I wasn't that far away and that I would leave when he was sick. So that comforted him.
What was it like? You always, I'm sure our viewers are commenting, and we welcome everybody, and they're just loving the conversation, but they're also sending all their love to you and describing all the things that you've meant to them, and not just the Waltons, but your body of work, theater, film, television is extraordinary. Your children, somebody had asked, did your kids ever intermingle with or get along with the Walton kids?
Oh, sure. They would come on the set. If they weren't in school or whatever, they'd come on the set and hang out. And I wouldn't say that they're all in each other's lives now as adults, but certainly back then when I was filming, they were part of the family, my kids. So they were always welcome on the set, and very much a part of any party that went on. My kids would always come with me. My son was my date when I got my first Emmy, and neither one of us, the last thing we thought was going to happen. So I was completely relaxed, enjoying everything. And the limo drive, I went around the neighborhood waving at all the neighbors and the kids. It was like a big deal. And then when I won, it was like, oh no, I have to get up and say something. And my knees were shaking. And I remember my son's face, because the first person I looked to was him. His eyes were big like saucers, and I'm sure mine were too. And we were both sort of in shock. And then I had to get up and say something, and I don't even remember what I said. I didn't have anything prepared because it just was, you don't get an Emmy for pouring coffee. Anyway, I did. And I think actually the Emmy was because I did they did a 2-hour special where Olivia gets polio. And my father had spinal meningitis when he was a kid, and he was paralyzed. And I said, but you're walking now. How come? What happened? And he said, well, I had to go to the bathroom. So I got up and went. That's my father for you. But we used that in the polio story. Olivia, after having had all the physical therapy, you know, but she hears Elizabeth calling her, Cammy. And she gets up and goes to see what, and then realizes she's actually walking. And I just got goosebumps.
Yeah.
Because it is personal too for my father.
Oh, yeah.
He always had to have special shoe made for one leg, it was shorter than the other. But he never, hardly ever brought it up. We had to bring it up. And then he'd talk about it, like the war. You know, he never talked about his
Never
time.
talked about.
But
But imagine
if I got him a little drunk and then I'd start asking questions,
then
find out what he really was doing.
I would imagine the family too, incredibly proud to see the things that you've done and the successes, knowing where you've been and the things that you've experienced in your life, and to see positive things come as a result. I would imagine there would be familial pride.
I think mostly from my kids. And I have to say my ex-husband, Peter Donat, their father, who is a wonderful actor. He had the misfortune of being unbelievably gorgeous, good looking, beautiful. He played princes and leading men all the time. He wasn't very good at that, but give him a pair of glasses and a mustache and a character role, he was brilliant. But he was never quite comfortable playing himself, which is what you bring to television, really. You just, hello, John. This is my husband, John.
He heard the word husband, so he thought that was his cue.
And this is Jeremy Webb, who's
hello, John. Welcome.
Who's doing a play here in LA called The Woman from
Welcome to the Jim Masters Show. Hey.
This is Jim Masters.
Hi, Jim.
Hey, welcome from the East Coast, the New York area. Good to see you guys.
He's a New Yorker.
I'm a New Yorker.
Oh, yeah. Out east on Long Island originally.
Poster from Sisters Rosenzweig.
Yeah, Jeremy was telling me in Sisters Rosenzweig when he was a young actor, and Michael's got a poster on the wall signed by all the actors.
That's
so
fantastic.
Cool. Yeah.
You never know who walks through the door at Michael Lerner's house. All of these special guests.
Get out of your way.
Sorry.
Oh, not at all. That was nice. That was nice. The check will be in the mail for the appearance.
Right down Mount Morgan with Patty Clarkson.
See that picture?
Jeremy knows Patty.
Look at all the women.
And
they're all
the
staring
cat.
at the camera.
Cat is sitting in a
Where's
basket.
Michael looking?
Wow.
Right?
You're surrounded by some wonderful photos there. Are there any photos you would want us to see?
Oh, yeah. There's in your
I don't know if I can do it.
What do you want to
No. I'm trying to get the picture.
Of the Arthur Miller group?
She was going to show us some of the photos that are in the bureau
Those
there,
babies,
some of those family
I'm in wrong
photos. And
place here. Jeremy, are you any better at this than I
Wait,
am?
yeah, what do we
Yeah,
want?
well,
we want to see if we
you
can
just
get.
went by the Arthur Miller one.
Oh, that's the Arthur
No,
Miller.
that's your family.
Yeah.
The picture of
No,
Arthur.
that's the Arthur Miller one, but you can't see it very well.
Yeah.
That's my cat.
what
And
a
this
cool,
is
it's like the cat looks like a statue, like a queen.
Yeah.
The
Until 3 in the
and there's
morning.
an Emmy up here somewhere. Yeah. But there 3 of my Emmys are in the Hollywood Museum, and they will go to my kids, and this one is for John. So
But
course,
this picture up here with Arthur Miller is great.
Oh, really? Is
Because he did a play, his last play, Ride Down Mount Morgan. And so all the actors, here it comes.
he should be my manager, my husband. He's
Look at Arthur
Can
Miller,
you see this?
Look at this. Yeah.
and you see where all the women are looking?
Why you do it for me?
All the women are looking at Arthur
there it
Miller, except or looking at the camera. My wife is looking at Arthur Miller, and from the smirk on his face, he knows it.
No, he had a crush on Patty Clarkson, not me. I was too old for him. But he was a very gracious man to work for. He came in on the first day of rehearsal and said, "How can I be of help?" I was just telling Jeremy, how can I be of help from a great playwright like Arthur Miller? Stunned me. It just stunned me. Have we lost you, Jim?
No, I'm just so bowled over by everything we're seeing. And is your husband still there?
No,
Yes, he's here.
I'm here, yeah.
I just wanted to ask him, because he's there on the ground floor. she's a very, very special person, isn't she? What are some wonderful things that you would want to say about your lovely, talented, and effervescent wife that you
See
have?
the look on his face, he's going to be nasty.
If he wants to bend down a little bit, that way we'll see.
Emmy,
There he is.
I'm thinking.
I'm thinking.
Get out of here.
Look, Michael is special. I mean, I married her.
He doesn't need a script for this.
I kind of grabbed her up. We met at an event, and so I tried to get her phone number, but she got away too quick. So I
She's East Coast fast.
another woman I knew for her phone number, and she wouldn't give it to me. And I thought that woman was my friend as well. So it took me about 3 months for Michael. Well, the other woman gave Michael my phone number. And then 3 months later, she called me when she came back to LA. And we had the worst first date known to man.
We did.
Terrible.
Was it at a restaurant or was it outdoors or
No,
somewhere?
we went
For a walk.
we went a hike on the Will Rogers Estate Trail,
Oh,
overlooking the ocean, and it was a perfectly beautiful day.
yeah.
And I got so tied up, I started pointing out landmarks.
The telephone building over there.
That's
a
right.
bit right.
Downtown LA.
Yeah, yeah.
Then-
If all else fails, go with the landmarks, right?
My watch, trying
Yeah.
not to be.
I took her back to my place and lit a fire, made some coffee.
That gave you some.
and I had a
Fire, yeah.
kind of a Vietnam book that my dad had put together. So I started pulling that out for
That got me.
going for the sympathy vote.
You got it.
And it worked. It worked.
Yeah, it did.
It sure did, huh? Isn't that beautiful?
Yeah,
I thought so.
it is beautiful.
And what would be something you'd say about him, Michael?
But now let me finish. I got one more.
Oh, he's got another. He's on a roll now.
2 years later, we're getting married. She's on the altar with me. My mother's there. My dad, they thought I'd never get married. The Waltons family was there, and the Donat family was there. And so the minister starts to do the vows. And he says,
If you bend down a little bit, we'll see your
All right.
face.
So anyway,
All we see is a neck. There you are.
he recites the vows. And when it came Michael's turn, he said, for better, for worse. And she goes,
No, for better.
he said better or worse, and she said nothing. I
got for better in.
not only
No, it
the
was
second time,
worse.
the minister looks at her and says, better or worse? And she goes, or worse.
Because, I'd had some trouble in some former marriages that I wasn't too keen on getting married to this man, but he really wanted it. He'd never been married. And he wooed me with flowers and chocolates and things like that. I'd never been wooed before. It was more like we've been together for a year or two. Let's get married kind of thing. And
Hell, I proposed.
I don't regret a minute of it. Huh?
See, the thing is, Michael, when you would give the chocolates, you would be told on by the teacher. He gave you the chocolates.
That's right.
And that was the magic touch, right?
That's right.
And I ate them.
I'll let you get back to work.
It was a pleasure meeting you.
You too. Thanks.
Thank you very much. What a nice surprise to have them stop in.
Really.
What is for you both look very, very happy together. What is the secret to a relationship longevity from your perspective?
I don't think I don't know of a secret, but I do know that when we go through hard times, which we do, I mean, we're both Aries, we're both stubborn and ornery, and we go through some really rough patches. But when we do, John has always been willing to talk it out. He comes in, he sits down in a chair and says, let's hash it out. And we then get to work it through, whatever it is. And I really think that's the key, is not somebody saying, I like things just the way they are, but somebody who's willing to get down in the dirt with you and, you know, hack through whatever the underbrush is that's there from former relationships or whatever, and work through it, whatever the problem is. We fight all the time, but we also know we have each other's back, and that, you know, when the, you know, what hits the fan, I know that John will be there for me, and he knows that I'll be there for him.
When the goat cheese hits the fan.
That's it. Thank you. I couldn't find that one.
The goat cheese. Yeah. So our Crossroads, you can see in those photos the respect and admiration you and Pat Boone have for each other. When we was a guest on our show just a few weeks back, he couldn't have been more, like you described, sweeter and warmer and witty and funny. It must have been really quite special on that set. Had you met before? Had you worked together in any capacity before? Or was this the first time the two of you coming together in such a fabulous way?
This was the first time I'd ever worked with Pat Boone.
You would never know that. You would think it was something you've done for years.
He made it easy. He just was right. He's really an actor's actor in that he's right there in the scene with you as if there's nobody else in the room. And I loved working with him. The part I was playing was a woman who also had MS.
Yeah.
Multiple sclerosis, I believe, and so she was in a wheelchair and raising these kids, and that's the point, I think, of the film, is that you can be hit with challenges in life and you can overcome them and still be of service in the world.
Of all the roles that you've played, and again, you can really look back at, you know, Police Story, Murder, She Wrote, Cold Case, Scrubs, Law and Order, SVU, all the soap operas, movies, everything, stage performances. It's extraordinary. Is there a role, Michael, that is closest?
I think we're frozen, or you are, Jim, so I don't know the rest of your question.
Is there a role that, of all the roles you've played over these many years, that you connect with the most, that represents you, or you feel the closest to, as in terms of it being closer to who you are as a person?
Well, I can't think of a television role that really blew me away. But a stage in The Three Sisters, I played Irina when I was young, and ingenue, and then later I played Masha, which is she's a very neurotic and complicated, unhappy woman who hates her husband, and, you know, is sort of set in a mold that she doesn't want to be in. And I also managed to find some humor in her. And that was really my favorite stage role, I think, was Masha in The Three Sisters, because at that time I was Masha in my own life. I was neurotic. I was screwed up. I was going through a divorce. Life was just hitting me over, you know, batting me. I just moved my kids to a country out of the city to get them away from drugs. And I happened to move them right into the center of a little suburban drug fueled place. And, you know, life was just not cooperating with me, or I was not with it. And somehow we all made it through. And I always, at that time, liked Masha, because I thought, I know this woman inside and out. I know why she is the way she is. I understood her completely. And it is a wonderful play anyway. It's just a wonderful play. So I've done it twice.
You said it twice. Is there a role that you wish you had been able to take on, and maybe because of being committed to another role, another project, or just timing, it didn't happen, but a role that you're like, gee, I would have liked to have had a stab at that role?
Well, there's one I kicked myself for, and that was a movie that Robert Redford was producing. And they wanted me to audition, and I was so full of myself. I thought, I don't need to audition. They see my work every week on television. Why do I have to put myself through the agonies and the nervousness of auditioning? And Mary Tyler Moore, on the other hand, auditioned and got the part. And I look back now and think, what a stupid, arrogant person you were. Why didn't you just audition like everybody else? And as it is, I auditioned for Ryan Murphy, and that was no hardship. It wasn't that bad. I just guess I always thought I never get anything I audition for, but I do. I tested for the Waltons and I got it. And you gotta be willing to step up to the plate, whether you want to or not. And that's the only thing I really regret was that movie. I can't remember the name of it now, but Mary was wonderful in it. And I've always been in love with Robert Redford. I just think he's the most wonderful actor in the world.
Really a spectacular guy. I met him at Carnegie Hall in an event that I was emceeing, and it was for A Way of the Rain. And his wife puts on this incredible, she's an extraordinary artist. And there was this whole visual show with her art portrayed on the big screen at Carnegie Hall with
Wow.
Tim Janis, the composer, who's a friend of mine for years. I interviewed him many times on PBS, and his full orchestra doing the music to the visuals we were seeing on stage in the big screen at Carnegie Hall. And he was there, and we were seated in this little box that gave them the perfect views to watch. He could not have been more genteel, kind,
So glad to hear that. Yeah.
classy, gentlemanly, in awe of what she did artistically, and so gracious to everybody. And it was just really, you can see why people are drawn to him. He's just got a
fabulous actor, but that I love when I hear that somebody I admire, somebody whose work I admire, is also a terrific human being. I love that.
Do you know, that's one of the great things, isn't it? And I know that people think the same way because I've heard it, and they're commenting in our chat room. We showed a few comments, people loving the conversation. A lot of people feel the same way about you. I know you're humble about it, and you're like, what do you mean me? But people feel this connection to you, and that's extraordinary, right? You go out to do something that sparks your passion, and while you're living what you love, other people have this incredible connection to you through these roles that you've played, but also in probably, I'm sure, watching a conversation like this. You are, and I remember this from the last time we chatted, you are one of the most heart on your sleeve, real, authentic people that, I've come across in recent years. I would say a few others are like a Carol Burnett, who is just as real and wonderful as people who love her, as we all do, would hope. If you ever saw her in a supermarket, she's going to be the same Carol as you saw on television. And you have this way about you too, which I think is what added to that character of Olivia and everything else you've done. There is a realness to you that is refreshing in Tinseltown and all the glamour and everything that's all around. There's a beauty to you inside and out, but there's also a realness and an authenticity that I think people plug into. They may even see elements of themselves through you and your openness and willingness to share who you are, and that life isn't perfect.
No, it's not. And secrets are hard things to keep. I'm pretty open about my failings as a human being, and I have many. And I have some strengths too. I did raise 3 fabulous kids by myself, except for Mrs. Blair, who was my godsend. Like Valerie, she was my angel. And, I've had help along the way. There are people who've, I can't describe it. I mean, I got the Waltons. I wasn't right for it. And I got the Waltons, and that paid for braces and private schools for my kids. And even though the money was not big back in those days when you start out, but after 5 years, when Richard left, we all got to renegotiate. And by then we had some clout. So we made substantial raises in our salaries. And, it was hard grinding work. There were times when I thought, I am so tired that even the weekend is not going to restore me in any way, shape, or form. When you're putting in 15-hour days and you're bored most of that time, which I was a lot on the Waltons, Richard was in every scene, but he was always doing something. There was something that he could be engaged with. And my job was to be there, to be the mom, to be there, and to find out, what did you do today, John Boy? And then it would be him telling his story about what he did that day. So in a way, I was a machine. I was there for a purpose, to comfort people that mom is there at the ironing board or whatever. And yet, oh, look, I did love those people. I just love Judy. I think that's Judy. I can recognize her from the back of her head.
We've had Judy Norton and Cami Cutler on our show, and they're fabulous people as well.
They're great people. And they were so easy to love. There was no question. So, I was blessed in many ways, but I wasn't always grateful at the time. I wasn't always. There were times I wanted to be with my kids and I couldn't be, and I was tired and bored, and no amount of money can help you when you're feeling bored. Bored. Boredom's the worst thing, because I tried embroidery and I was pretty good at it. I embroidered back in the day and things like that, but you're always interrupted. Just as you start to get into a good paragraph in the book you're reading, they call you on the set, so you're never really out of it. You're always kind of half in it. And you can't go anywhere because you're in costume and makeup, and you're sort of stuck. And if they have 3 pages, that could take, a whole afternoon. And luckily, as I say, I live nearby, so I could sometimes sneak away and I could be back in 5 minutes. And after a while, they began to know they could trust me. I'd be where I said I was, and I'd come back immediately on the set. So that was good.
Sometimes when you have a situation like the Waltons and Olivia, it is some people run away from that character, run away from that role. They're like, okay, that's what I did then. I am no longer that role, that person. And they sort of want to completely detach from almost ever playing that role because they don't want to be typecast, things of that nature. Looking back the now 50 plus years, do you look at it with, the opportunity was exceptional, like you said and described. Do you look back at that role, that iconic role in television history and that iconic series in television history as something that now warms your heart? You understand and really appreciate what it means to people, and you embrace Olivia as opposed to like Barbara Eden. I talked with her recently, fabulous as well. She still, even with other things that she's done, is always remembered as Jeannie on I Dream of Jeannie, and she embraces it and she does these wonderful things celebrating Jeannie because she knows everybody still loves her as Jeannie. You the same, realizing that particular role is of all the amazing things you've done and continue to do, people still love you as Olivia.
That's a gift. And yes, I don't begrudge it. I don't say, oh, I'll never get past this role. No, it was a gift that was handed to me from a higher power somewhere. It was given to me on a plate, really. I didn't deserve it. I was a wreck, as I said. And Ralph kind of helped straighten me out. And just, it was a gift. The hours, I don't care who you are, the hours are relentless sometimes. You probably know that yourself. You can go a long day, and after a while, it just eats away at you until the point when you finally can relax and rest. You're too tired. You're too tired to do that. that was the hardest part of all. And scripts, fighting to try and make Olivia real and
More
not
real.
idyllic kind of perfect mom person, and give her some, they even wrote in a miscarriage for Olivia. I mean, they had to work hard to try to find something for me as an actor to play. And I worship the writers now, but I was hard on them when I was an arrogant young Dumbo, and I would read a script that somebody had slaved over, and I go, well, this blah, blah, blah. And I don't know why Earl Hamner didn't shoot me, but he didn't, because he's a gentleman. And I'm eternally grateful for that role now, and I love her. I love Olivia. I think she was okay.
Well, the viewers have been commenting throughout, and Maureen in Arizona, just want to throw this in. Although you may think you weren't right for the role, Michael, you were the perfect Olivia.
Oh, thank you, Maureen.
You were the perfect. And of course, Nurse, and like I said, the soap operas and all these other things. And again, Our Crossroads is something very, very special. And congratulations.
What happened to it? Do you have any ideas? Is it going to ever be released? Or?
I think that's what we're trying to find out, because I want to be able to tell everybody. And I encourage folks, don't go anywhere too, because we have a special clip that the Hollywood Museum sent us, which was when all of you were together from the Waltons, and Leonard was the host, the MC, and Richard was there, and you guys were on a panel, like a Waltons.
Oh, right.
Leonard Maltin was the MC. What was that like, getting together and that Q&A at the Hollywood Museum?
It's always fun when we get together. We have so much fun, and we love each other. I mean, I know when I die, these kids are going to grieve like my own kids. Maybe not quite like my own kids, but
I think a lot of people would.
An important person in their lives. They had wonderful parents. I mean, I didn't replace any of the mothers for them. Most of these kids had pretty good mothers who were on the set, taking care, making sure they were okay and not being overused or whatever. Their mothers were right there for them. But nonetheless, we had a bond that I think is why the show was so popular. I think we all really did love each other. I loved Ralph. He loved me. We kept it clean because we knew it could go bad if we were both single at the time. But we kind of thought about it one day, and then we both went, no, we're not going to do this. We're going to keep it clean because it could turn into something horrible. Sometimes it does. And we wanted,
especially back then too, right? Yeah, the time period, and yeah,
but yes, but we wanted to keep our love clean and not get involved in a deep romance or anything, because we knew somehow it would go bad. And
but there was an attraction, right? Yeah, there was an attraction.
Yeah, we had good chemistry, they say.
Yes,
and we did, because we enjoyed each other, and the kids too. And I loved getting together with them. Janelle Dadigan, who is the woman who started the Hollywood Museum, which is really wonderful. She's done a wonderful job. And she's become a good friend. I mean, because of this show, I've met so many wonderful people in my life. I've met people that are not personal friends, but that are people I look up to and admire. And none of that would have happened if it hadn't been for the Waltons, which was like a diving board, a high diving board that I was willing to jump off of, And
absolutely,
feet first, of course. But
yeah, feet first, of course, exactly right. And we're going to show a clip in a minute or so from the Hollywood Museum, from that cast panel. So everybody stay there. It's a very special treat that the Hollywood Museum sent our way. That museum is something else, that Hollywood Museum, isn't it?
It really is. Yeah, she's done a wonderful job. And the Waltons area that she has it's like being on the set. It's marvelous what she's done. I admire her, and I like her very much as a human being too. She's a good.
She was a guest on our show as well, and she really is a sweetheart of a person.
Yeah.
We're mentioning Our Crossroads, and congratulations on that, and the Jeffrey Dahmer story, Netflix recently. You're very busy. I mean, you could easily have your feet in the sand in Miami Beach if you wanted to, having iced tea in a hammock, but you're still going and still doing what you want to do because you're passionate about it. Are there other things that you're working on too? And are you working on the memoir?
Oh, I started and then I stop and then I start and then I stop. I'm really bored talking about me.
Which is what you have to do in the memoir, right?
Some of them, and then I did this, and then I went that, I auditioned for this, and then I got that part, and then I was taught by my parents, don't write a letter that's full of I's. And so, so I have to get back to it. I've written a lot of essays, mostly like a place that I loved, Inverness, California. That was like my spiritual place to go to when things were tough. And I have some stories about really wonderful Richard Chamberlain, who's a great guy, but I don't have any really nasty Hollywood stories to tell. It's been good to me, and the people I've worked with have been good to me. And Hal Linden I've worked with. I'm looking around my office. Who are some of the other people? Yeah, I've worked with a lot of wonderful people, and they're just like everybody else, really.
Somebody asked, did you get a chance when you were filming Our Crossroads to sing with Pat Boone?
I hope not.
I hope not.
I wouldn't be able to get anything out at all, even when I'm in the shop.
Notice she didn't say she didn't. She said she hopes not.
If I did, I was probably in a state of
it was a fog. You don't remember. You refused to remember. So singing was never.
Talking to the woman that I was portraying. Her name is Barbara. And I called her up, and she was just a piece of cake. I loved her. And I felt honored and privileged to play her because she had so many challenges in her life. And you talked to her, you'd never guess she'd had any hills to climb. She just was a down-to-earth, humorous, open, lovely human being. And so I felt very special trying to portray her. I have teeth that are fine in here. They're going to get replaced, but I'm never quite used to it.
What those attributes, Michael Lerner, that you just described about Barbara, who you portrayed in Our Crossroads, are you as well. You just, and I think that's why you were suited, and I think that's what they saw, and that's what Barbara connects to, and I would believe that the public would connect to. Those characteristics you just described yourself, which I think is an amazing thing. So it was, I would imagine, for Barbara and that family to have you portraying her and Pat Boone as part of it and everybody else, it must have been quite special for them as well.
Well, that would be nice. I'd like to talk to her when the film, if it ever comes out. I have a feeling it's going to be on television at some point, maybe Inspiration Network or something like that. That's my feeling. It's a film about faith, really, about trudging the happy road, if you will, and putting one foot in front of the other. And
you've turned to faith in your life, right, to help get you through. You mentioned, which I think is a beautiful thing, that some of these things that have happened to you, you feel like there's been a tap, like you are a facilitator of a conduit of an energy, divine, an energy that's greater than you, that sort of flows through you and out, which is a very beautiful thing to say, Michael.
Well, that's very sweet of you, but it really is. It's called inspiration, I guess. I have to look up the dictionary meaning of that word, but when there's a magic moment that happens either on a set or on stage or whatever, it's the most magical thing for me is when I'm on stage and there's utter silence, and you know that that audience is in the same bubble you're in, that same world that you're in as an actor. They're with you right there. It literally makes the hair on the back of my neck kind of stand up a little bit. One is totally aware of it. You're completely aware that the audience is really in that moment with you. and you're also acting a part and pretending to be somebody else, which is a little complicated at times. But when it goes right, there's nothing more rewarding, or your first laugh that you get in a show is wonderful. Okay, they're with you. They're with you. And then you want to try to keep them with you. But
keep them,
that kind of thing. That's why I find actually theater much more. I learn more doing theater. I learn from audiences. They teach me.
That instant feedback and see the facial reactions and hear the oohs and ahs, right?
Or a laugh that you thought should have come and you didn't get it. And why didn't I get it? Was I trying too hard to get it? So I wasn't really there in that moment? Or, you try to figure out, okay, what was I doing wrong that this laugh didn't happen? And maybe it wasn't supposed to, but I thought it was,
Right.
So you're always working when you're doing theater. You're always working on your character. You never, at least I never stopped when I was doing something at ACT.
Yeah.
And the audience taught me a lot.
Oh, absolutely. It's ongoing. It's continued lifelong learning in so many respects. Well, why do you love this so much? Why you obviously, the cat is the cat is doing a great audition. I love this. If they wiggle that tail more, you can do a little dusting.
He knows what he's doing. He's a scene stealer.
I was going to say, look, just checking it all out.
Going to get in that basket.
Now it looks like he's on your head right now. That from that angle.
But he usually goes up. I don't know why he can't all of a sudden get up there. Oh, I know why. Hang on 1 second.
Oh yeah, listen.
I'll move this, and then you can get him in the basket like you wanted. No, he doesn't want to, of course. Don't do me any favors, Mom.
I tell you, huh? Does that cat know he's talking to Olivia Walton? Sit up straight, cat.
This is a good luck cat. It's not a bad cat.
That's a good one.
Why black cats are supposed to be bad luck. But.
You've mentioned several times, and before we go, because I don't want to keep it too much, because it's always really a joy and a blessing to have you with us. And as I've always said, and say to all the many guests who've come through, the porch light is on for you. You're always welcome back here at the Jim Masters Show. We call this Lovity Hall. It's light, love, and levity together. And you're such a delightful person to speak to. I love these conversations because we don't script these. There's no pre-prepared questions. It's a free-flowing, not really interview. This is a conversation.
But that's your skill. You make it a conversation. You make it easy for the people you're, quote, interviewing. Really, it doesn't feel like an interview. It feels like I'm getting to know you. You're getting to know me. You're getting to know me more than you because you're asking questions and I'm long-winded. But yeah, I love doing a show with you.
You're not long-winded. You are engaging. Everything you say, everybody hangs on to it because it's real and it's authentic. Before we go, I was mentioning some of those blessings and joys, and you've mentioned a few of them in your life that keep you wanting to stay so connected with all of us. You could easily pull the shades down and say, I've put my time in. I've done my time, because you are with your family and you've always made sure the family gets the love and attention. And that's a beautiful thing. Not an easy balance, in any of these careers, but you've been able to do that. What are some of those continued blessings and joys in your life that make you want to stay connected with everybody all these years?
Well, I love them. I love the kids on the wall. I love Richard. I love being with Richard Thomas. I went to see his show and I'm going to see it again. And he's such a wonderful actor. And when you see Richard on stage, you're not seeing John Boy. You're seeing a character. And you forget it's Richard. And I love the kids. They've all moved around. It's hard to get us all together unless it's for a reunion. But when we have a reunion, we have the best time. I mean, Eric Scott has us laughing. He's outrageously funny. And John Walmsley is a great musician. I mean, we love hearing him play and sing. And it's joyous for me. And how many people get a chance to work with people that you keep in touch with for the rest of your life?
Exactly right. Exactly right. You are truly a blessing, my friend. And again, I absolutely love having you here. And the door is always open. Congratulations on the recent projects, everything else. And it was so nice meeting everybody behind the scenes there as well, including that lovely cat. And
we had a show to do, so we had to leave.
That's it.
Tonight.
Michael Learned, you truly are. You're as humble as you are. You really are a treasure. We love hearing from you. We wish you nothing but all the best of joy and blessing in your life and continued happiness and the best of health. And do come see us again. And I really hope you enjoyed the time with me as much as I absolutely have once with you.
So easy. It's so much nice just talking with you. You make it easy. And I just want to leave you with one thing that struck me, because I spent a lot of time when I was young being, oh no, I'm nothing, all of that stuff. And I thought it was Winston Churchill, who said this, but it doesn't matter who it was really. But he defined humility as an accurate assessment of your assets and liabilities. An accurate assessment of your assets and liabilities. I just thought being humble meant you should lie on the floor and let people walk all over you, you know? But that's not what he said. And I thought that's so true. You can relish the good times and the times you feel that you were able to contribute some small thing to the world. And you're going to go through your hard times too. We all do. And I feel blessed to be with my wonderful husband and Val, who's an angel in my life. She comes
absolutely.
Sets me.
There she is.
Yes.
Don't you recognize that hand?
God bless her. Yeah. So life is good for me. Thank you.
You're amazing. You're beautiful inside and out. You're a true spirit, a great inspiration, a lovely woman on many, many levels, a true American treasure. And we will chat again soon. Come see us again. And hopefully when I'm out on a TV shoot in my television work in LA, or we'll see you at the Hollywood Museum or somewhere else, I would love to break bread.
Yeah, I'd like that.
That would be fabulous to see that whole crew, the cat and all. You
Yes.
be well.
Thank you.
I really appreciate all the time, Ms. Leonard. You are truly amazing. And thanks so much for spending time with us. It was a joy.
I appreciate it. Same here. Thank you.
You be well. Take care.
God bless.
And to Val as well. Thank you, Val.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye-bye. We'll
Here.
see you again soon.
Angel Val.
Angel Val. That's right.
Yes.
Take care, guys. Bye-bye
You
now.
too. God
Bye.
bless.
Incomparable Michael Learned on our show. Now, don't go anywhere, folks. We have something special we want to show you, as I mentioned, that was sent to us by our friends at the Hollywood Museum. The incredible host and entertainer, the wonderful broadcast legend, Leonard Maltin, did a special panel. This was at the beautiful Hollywood Museum, and he interviewed cast members from the Waltons, Richard Thomas, Michael Learned. The cast was there, and we have a very special clip of that we're going to show you here on the Jim Masters Show. We've talked about, the breadth and scope of the incomparable Michael Learned's career, and we really just scratched the surface. There was another episode of the Jim Masters Show series, our Entertainment Lifestyle Celebrity Talk Show series, where she was a guest on our show maybe about 10 months ago or a year ago, before she did the Jeffrey Dahmer story, just before that. And that was a very fabulous conversation. We talked a lot about a lot of the different shows and series, Nurse and other shows and series that she was a part of. This was much more of a conversation about Michael the person, current projects, going back to the Waltons, because since that last conversation, it's been the 50th anniversary of the Waltons. And we wish everybody a happy anniversary. And as part of that, the phenomenal Hollywood Museum in Los Angeles, California, which does all these incredible celebrations of some of our iconic television shows and movies and so much more. They do such a great job. We've got a quick clip here of this panel discussion that another broadcast veteran, legend Leonard Maltin, sort of emceed. And I want to show that to you here. It's something quite special. You'll enjoy it, and we'll be back to wrap in just a second. And again, we thank Michael Learned for joining us. He really She's so humble, isn't she? But she's the real deal, and that's what I love. So refreshing. Take a look at this clip. Some of your favorites from the Waltons on set on this panel at the Hollywood Museum in LA, Hollywood, California.
It's wonderful to see all this stuff. I'm very touched by the costumes, actually. There's a jacket, a Levi jacket that Ralph Waite used to wear all the time, and I see it in there, and it really got me. It went right to my throat. It's beautiful to see all these. It evokes so many happy memories for me of our very, very good time in our lives.
And tell me a little bit about Kill a Mockingbird and how that's going.
Well, I'm having a ball playing Atticus at the Pantages right now. It's a beautiful, beautiful production, Broadway production, and it's a wonderful cast of actors. And it's just good to be back doing theater in LA again.
There.
Thank you very much. Nice to meet you.
I'm so glad that they.
I know she just felt like she was, yeah.
Hello, everybody. Hello. These are the Waltons. We're sitting here with the Waltons. Was there ever any doubt, any question of what you were going to do with your life?
Well, when you have no other skills, there's really not much else you can do. But I will say, I got an email from Actors Equity just recently congratulating me on my membership in the union. My equity card will be 65 years old next year.
Wow. To go from the mother of this wonderful and appealing brood to the mother of Jeffrey Dahmer.
I taught him everything he knows.
Yes, what some people in the acting trade would call a leap.
Well, she wasn't a killer. She just happened to love her grandson, who was a killer, and chopping up people in her basement. How could you not know somebody's chopping up human beings?
But you got to work for Ryan Murphy, who was the
Genius. He's
the
a
man with the
genius,
Midas
yeah.
touch. Yeah.
Yes. I feel very lucky, yes.
That was a nice clip, wasn't it? That was, you saw Richard Thomas there, and of course, Michael Leonard, and that was a great discussion that they had. There's just a little bit of a teaser there to coincide with our phenomenal conversation with the incomparable Michael Leonard. I know you guys enjoyed this because I see all these comments coming in here, whether you remember, of course, the Waltons. Happy 50th anniversary to the Waltons. So hard to believe. And again, Michael has been with us twice, and we'll have her back. And of course, Cami Cotler was here. Judy Norton was with us. And so many extraordinary people from the series. Again, we appreciate this iconic actress and performer and entertainer, Michael Leonard, joining us here on the show. Again, 4-time Emmy winner, People's Choice Award, Golden Globe nominee. And it's extraordinary when you see the breadth and scope. And again, so many incredible series. Of course, remember she's had appearances on All My Children and General Hospital and on and on and on. And 5 beautiful grandchildren as well. Really quite special. We hope you enjoyed this, everybody. I am your host, Jim Masters. If this is your first time watching our series coming to you from the East Coast of the United States, come by and see us again and check out some of your favorite stars from television and music and film and life in general. We feature it all here on our Entertainment Lifestyle Celebrity Talk Show series. If you did enjoy this episode, do something special. Leave a comment for us. This is on our YouTube channel, Jim Masters TV, wherein, as the time of this show right now, we have done, listen to this, talk episodes, over 1,100 episodes of our series in just the last 4 years, which is amazing and counting. So if you watch this 5 years from now, we'll be way past that, hopefully, and God willing. Thanks so much for joining us. We thank Michael Leonard once again, and the cat and her husband, John, and everybody for coming by here and spending some time with us. We thank you for spending time with us as well. If you enjoyed it, again, don't keep it a secret. Share the link on your social media. Give this episode a like, thumbs up on our YouTube channel. Subscribe to our YouTube channel as well. That's where all these great episodes are. And we thank everybody for watching, supporting, sharing, subscribing. It means the world to us here at the Jim Masters Show series. We love you all. It's always great to come together and have not what we, sometimes we say interviews, but truly these are conversations. You get a chance to really not just have the standard questions, the standard fare that people always ask, and they just talk about, the iconic legend of a person and that's it, and dwell on that. We have free-flowing conversations here with our special guests and celebrity friends, kind of like if you ever watched Johnny Carson, Merv Griffin, Mike Douglas, Jack Parr. I've been fascinated by Jack Parr in recent days, watching a lot of his material. Of course, he was the Tonight Show host before Johnny Carson. Steve Allen, Regis Philbin, some of the ones that really set the tone as far as talk show hosts. John Davidson, who's been a guest on the Jim Masters Show 3 times already. Some of these fabulous people that I've always admired as well. Some of these amazing talk show hosts and broadcast legends. And working in this industry myself, I've always sort of followed that path in that way. So hopefully we're bringing some of that your way, because it's rare. You don't get a chance to see that a lot. A lot of things are scripted and everybody's reading something and questions are pre-prepared, and you never really get a chance to sort of get a feeling for what's talked about, not just the facts and the figures, but to actually get a feeling for what's being discussed and to be participating as well. Thanks everybody for all these beautiful conversations, these conversational comments that are pouring in our chat room. Don't forget to also, even if you left one here, we would love it if you leave a comment on the YouTube channel as well. We interact, and it is fantastic to see all of you. And this is great. Hey, Leo is with us. We see Leo is here, and Linda Johnson, and oh boy, Angela. It's good to see you as well. Angela has been very excited about watching the show. I very much enjoyed your interview with Ms. Michael Learned. She is genuine, honest, open. She keeps it real. I'm amazed that, yeah, I know, right? You wouldn't think so. This is so great. Thanks everybody for all these great comments. Yeah, the Hollywood Museum is something very, very special. Linda had a great time watching. What a great time this was. Thank you, Jim. Thank you as well. We appreciate your spending time with us. An awesome show. Pleasure was all mine. Appreciate you being here. And everybody that's, Linda says, thanks so much. Thank you, Michael and Jim. It was our pleasure. Always a wonderful time chatting with her. The time just goes by so quickly. We don't like to rush the guests, if they got to be somewhere quick. But she always has so many wonderful things to share and to say when she comes on our show. And I love her openness. And it really was very, very special. Maureen in Arizona, some of our viewers, lovely viewers here. My thanks to you, Jim, for turning what was a crazy Monday for you around. I know this time in Lovely Hall be the perfect medication. You're simply the best. Thank you very much as well. I should win a Tony. Wow. Yes. 1,100 episodes in just 4 years is quite amazing. And anybody that knows episodic broadcasting, that is a lot of shows. Thank you, Jim and Leo and the whole family. We love having you here. Shout out to Leo, our buddy. And yeah, maybe a Tony, a Grammy. Well, I'll have to sing more for the Grammy. I'll have to do a little soft shoe for the Tony. But the Emmy, of course, and Clio and some Tellys and other awards as well. All right, gang. This was great having you here. And departing is such sweet sorrow, as we say. We really appreciate our very special guest, Michael Learned. She had a good time. We had a good time with her. And we had a good time with all of you. She's amazing, isn't she? And now you know a little bit more about the role of Olivia. and she didn't think she was right for that role. Amazing, right? And but look at all the things that she's done in her career and continues to. She's surrounded by loving family, and it's just something special. Having you guys with us as well is here on the Jim Masters Show. Come by and see us again, everybody. We would love to have you here and spend some time with us on our series. It's always a treat to have you here on the Jim Masters Show. And for all of us, we appreciate you. Come by, see us again, spread the word, tell everybody you know about our show and all the cool things we've got going on here. And more comments coming in. Thanks, everybody. We really appreciate that. This is your host, Jim Masters, thanking you for your time this time. Till next time, right here, I'll be waiting for you in Lovely Hall at the Jim Masters Show. Take care of one another. Be good to one another. Don't forget to take care of yourself and love yourself as well. See you on the next one on the Jim Masters Show. Be well, everybody. Cheers.